All right, welcome everyone. So this is the first video of the series where I talk about the use of R or even other languages and all the tools that we as researchers need to use, how to do stats, how to create visualization, what are some tips and tricks to save a lot of time and make things very robust and streamlined, avoid errors by doing manual manipulations. And so today I'll just get started with R is basically a language like any other programming language. There are multiple components that we'll talk about today. So first thing is you need to install R. So the way you do it is you can Google how to install R, or you can just type in brew install R and it should do your installation. So once you have R installed, you can just type in R and then it will basically run R here. You can do anything you want. It's basically your R workspace. Or if you have a script already created, you can run that script by using something called RScript command, and here the file name .r. R files are stored as .r, but quickly we'll talk about other kinds of file, which will be RMD or R Markdown. So this is R, and we can use code editors such as Visual Studio Code in order to edit our R scripts, but for visualizations and analysis, we typically like to use something called R notebooks, which is like Python notebooks or Jupyter notebooks, where you can type in your text, free text or Markdown, HTML, and you can also have your R code, even Python code, within the same document. So we'll also need to install something called RStudio. So the first step is install R, second step is install RStudio. So I will open a new workspace. All right, let's give it a few seconds. Okay, this is what it looks like. So you see a console over here, you have a terminal. On the right hand side, you have this environment. You can see the history of all the commands. At the bottom, you can see the file directory. You can see a lot of different things, plots that you make and things. So many things to here. And you can also reorganize these things based on how you like it. So we'll start by creating a new file. If you go to file, new file, you'll see there are several options here. The first one is the R script, basically the bare bones R language script, but instead today we'll use something called R notebook because we wanna have some descriptive text along with our code. Of course, you can use comments to make descriptions in the R script, but just to be more robust, just to more focus on inferences, we'll create our notebook today. So as soon as you hit that create, see that it comes pre-populated with some of the codes, and make sure it's visible. So the first thing you see here is that the header, it contains the title, it contains the output. So output is basically what we want the output to look like for this file. And then you have a bunch of text, which is free text or Markdown. For example, this is the tag to generate tag to generate hyperlink. This is how you generate italics, or if you use double asterisk, this will now be a bold text when you compile this document. And then you need to use this tag in order to write your R code, and this is not the typical apostrophe sign. This is the character that you can find right below your escape key. So this is what it should look like. This is some R code right here, and you can run this with this little tiny green button. You see it creates a nice plot over here, and then there's some more text. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and clear this text, all of this text, and then I'm gonna give it some name, our tutorial 1, and then for the output, okay, for the author, you can write your name, and then You can also add date over here. So you can manually type in date, for example this one, but what I like to do is get the date from the system. So every time I run this notebook, the date will be automatically updated. So you can use the system date for that. For the output, you can have multiple outputs. If you have, for example, LaTeX installed, you can use that to generate PDFs, or you can just have a simple HTML output. So you can set a lot of different options here, and I would like you to go ahead and find the options that work best for you. I'm just gonna go with some of these random default options for now. Alright, so this was our header, and now we'll start writing some text. So we'll start with this hashtag, which is level 1 heading. If you have seen a little bit of Markdown, you'll know it's the same exact thing as Markdown. Okay, so this is our introduction here. Basically, yeah, this is a tutorial. Okay, and then you see a nice little button called outline here. If you click the button, you'll see that you see all the headings and subheadings over here. So for example, I'm gonna go use 2 hashtags, and then it will create subheading. I'm gonna give it like load the libraries. So you see here it gives its little name here, and then similarly you can create level 3 headings, but I'm gonna go ahead and load the libraries. In order to create your R code, you need to use this tag. This is the start and this is the end. In order to run this code, you can use this green button, or you can use command shift return to run the entire chunk. Oh, by the way, this one code block is called a chunk. You can also go here at the run and see there are multiple options. You can run all, or you can run one line, or so many other things. In order to run a line, you just need to press command return or control enter. So we are gonna go ahead and load this library called tidyverse. I'm gonna cover in detail what the library offers, but I'm just gonna load these 2 libraries for now, and gonna use command shift return to run this code. The code runs, and it gives me some description here about the conflicts this causes. For example, you can see there's a function called filter which conflicts with existing functions such as dplyr. By the way, this is a kind of the scope resolution operator. So if you are using dplyr is the name of the library, if you are using function from that library, you can always use dplyr and then this operator and the function name. By the way, the cool thing is in this console, if you type in the question mark, and for example, I want to know what the filter function does, so you can type in the function name filter and hit enter. This will take you, okay, maybe I should start a dplyr. So dplyr is a grammar of data manipulation. It contains certain functions. What if I want to do this? I will do filter. Okay, now we get the description of the filter function. So this is how we call the function, all the arguments it takes, what the arguments mean, and then a lot of other information that you will need to know about the function. There's also an example that's really important or helpful. So you don't need to go to Google in order to find what the functions do. As long as you have some idea, you can always type in the name here and get going. Okay, so we'll now go ahead and create one more chunk. We'll create some variables over here. For example, this is a variable, and we'll just do this. Okay, this is a very simple math. So just run this code. You see this pane on your right. This shows all the variables that you have active in the environment. For example, if you have data frames, you will be able to see them here, and then you should be able to click on them and it will open them in a new window. So you'll be able to open them, see what's going on. Also, another important thing is there's nice broom icon here, which will basically clear all the objects or the variables in the environment. Alright, I think that was a good amount of introduction for this very first video. In next video we'll see how to create different data types, how to load in data, what is a data frame, and so forth. Alright, I hope you all have a good time. Keep learning. Okay, one more final thing before I go. So I have this file created and I'm gonna go ahead and save it first. So test1 and then save it. So once you have this file saved, you'll see that there's the preview button. I'm gonna click on the preview. Sometimes it can also show up as net. So this preview, click on this preview will generate your, or you can also do net to HTML, but right now it knows the output should be an HTML because we defined the output as HTML here. Oops. So yeah, you can see the HTML results here, and okay, this will be really helpful as we go deeper because this is basically something you can share with people. You can also host it on your website or whatever. So sharing results becomes really easy. Doing things in an R Markdown file makes things really reproducible, and that's really important. You can also do scripts, but I would recommend for research work mostly using R Markdown notebooks, so you have a better context of what you are doing. Why you are doing it is more important, because sometimes you'll forget what you are doing. So it's important to have notes around the chunks of code you have and why you are doing things. All right.